You, Martin Antec, wanted to challenge me to create a pre-built gaming PC to give away to you guys. This PC was built taking the specs from 3 of their very own pre-built PCs, which they will be selling. They have the good, the better, and the best. I'll leave a link down below so you can check those specs out. But I had 3 goals in mind when creating this system. Make it somewhat budget/mid-tier friendly. It has to look good, and it has to be able to max out 1440p and achieve 4K medium settings. I also wanted to keep it under 2,300 Australian dollars or 1,500 US dollars. Let's begin. So for our case today, I want to use something special. I want to be able to show off the build that much more, and so we're going with the Antec C8 case. Now, the reason why is we have glass at the front and the side, meaning that you have full view of your PC going all the way around. We also have the ability to mount fans down the bottom and up the top, as well at the rear and at the side of the motherboard tray. So we got plenty of airflow, guys. So for those of you who like viewing your PC like a piece of art, it's not just something you shove under your desk. This has to be one of the best designs. Now, a PC case like this doesn't have room for a power supply or hard drives at the front, so it's all been brought to the rear, and that means that the rear chamber is also a lot larger, so you've got plenty more space for cable management. The hard drive and SSD tray is at the back if you're still using hard drives and SSD, and the power supply hidden away from sight, tucked at the rear there. Just makes it so much easier to work on your build and maintain it. So for today's system, we're going with the ROG Strix B760 A Gaming Wi-Fi D4 motherboard. Yes, this is DDR4 compatible, not DDR5. So we are going to have some savings there. Now we are going for a bit of a panda design. So we are going to have some black and some white. It's going to be a perfect fit for our build. Now being B760, yes, it is not top of the line. However, we are still getting all of the top of line features that we expect. We have plenty of USB, plenty of USB Type-C, and we also have built-in Wi-Fi, which is fantastic. But what I'm most excited about is it has 3 Gen 4 NVMe drive slots. That means no need to use extra SATA cables or anything to power hard drives. It's all built into the motherboard. Now to go with this system, we want all our parts to play nicely with each other. There's no point going for maybe a lower to mid-tier graphics card, but then going all out on the CPU. We actually want something that matches. So we've gone with the Intel Core i5 14600K CPU. Now this does have a total of 14 cores. That is 6 performance cores, which utilizes 2 threads per core, and 8 efficiency cores, which is just 1 thread per core. So that's a total of 20 threads. So if you plan on doing any editing, rendering, or anything like that, this CPU is still quite capable, but best of all, its max turbo frequency of 5.3 gigahertz is going to make sure that this CPU is going to run fantastic in games, and we'll show you later on in the benchmarks, while still saving a little bit of extra money. So this is the Kingston KC3000 NVMe drive. It is a Gen 4 drive, and I was tossing up going with 1 terabyte as opposed to 2, but going with 2 means that I can actually fit more games on there, more storage, especially if I want to video edit or anything like that, because our file sizes are huge, and game file sizes these days, if I was to only go with 1 terabyte, I'd only fit a couple of games on there before it is completely full. Now remember, our motherboard has 3 Gen 4 NVMe slots, so if this ever does fill up, we can always grab another one of these and chuck it in and have plenty more storage. So while we have nothing else in the build, I'm actually going to take some time to wire up a few of these plugs. So this is the HD audio plug. We've also got our switch plug, which is for your power and reset. And we've also got our 2 USBs. So we have control of our front USB I/O panel. It's also good practice to plug in our CPU power at this point, because once we put our fans and radiator up the top for our AIO cooler, you're going to be limited with finger space in this point. So it just makes it a lot easier. And sometimes the AIO cooler, depending on how thick you have, can actually completely block off these ports, meaning you would have to remove the AIO cooler in order to plug these in. Now, much like the AIO cooler, we do want the rest of the build to match, so we are going with the same fans. These are the Antec Fusion 120 ARGB fans. So out of the box, you can connect these to your motherboard headers for ARGB control, But because we have an ARGB controller with the AIO cooler, we can connect it to that and have full control of every single fan at the same time and synchronize them up. Now for fan speed, these are PWM, so you can expect anywhere from 600 to 2000 RPM. So, you know, if it is running a little hot in games, up these a bit and you'll get extra air through the system. Or you can lower them if you think something's running a little too loud. Now for our CPU cooler, we're going with the Vortex 360 ARGB CPU cooler from Antec. Now for the cooling, this uses a suspended spiral pump head design and it has a copper plate. Yes, the radiator is aluminium, just like every other AIO cooler on the market, but it uses the correct fluids to make sure that there is no corrosion. Speaking of the radiator, it has a massive 13 fins for heat dissipation. It also comes with 3 of Antec's Fusion 120 fans. Now these fans are completely customizable with ARGB lighting, plus you do get the controller for further customization if need be. Did I mention that the pump head also has lighting customization as well? I'm certainly keen to see how this performs in this build, so we'll test it out in some gameplay later on in the video. Now guys, there's definitely no need for me to fill up every single fan slot, but what I've got going is 3 intake down the bottom, 3 intake at the side here, and then I've got 4 exhausts, so 1 at the rear and then 3 up the top. So what I'm gonna do to even out the pressure is I'm going to run the intakes, so the ones down the bottom and the side, I'm gonna run them slower than the ones up the top. Now there's gonna be 2 benefits there. Number 1, that's going to neutralize the pressure a lot more, so it's not so much one-sided. And number 2, by having the top fans run at a faster RPM, we're also feeding the radiator more air, so we should get more cooling out of it as well. All right, so powering our good gaming pixels for this PC, we've decided to go with the Asus Dual GeForce RTX 4060, and this is the OC edition, so it comes with a bit of a factory boost right out of the box. Now we do have 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, so for those of you who want some multi-monitor setups as well, this is quite capable of doing that. Now this is a dual fan design with a vented backplate, so cooling shouldn't be an issue, but we will be testing it further in games later on in the video, so make sure you stick around to see that. Now it is recommended to have a minimum 550 watt power supply for our RTX 4060 graphics card. So by using the Neo Echo 850 GM from Antec, not only do we have plenty of headroom there, but if we decide to upgrade our GPU in the future, even a newer generation GPU, we're gonna have plenty of headroom, especially with this being ATX 3.0 and PCIe 5 ready. It's got all the connectors we need and enough juice to keep our system running fresh for years to come. By the way, there's not a lot of brands that offer 10 years warranty, so it just goes to show that Antec's very confident in their power supplies. So for our RAM today, we're actually going with the Kingston Fury DDR4 CL16 timings 3200 megahertz RAM. Now this is 2 16GB sticks for a total of 32 gigabytes. Being a DDR4 motherboard and DDR4 RAM, we are saving a little bit of money there as opposed to DDR5. But for our gaming PC, especially paired with that 14600K CPU, we're gonna get fantastic performance out of these, and we have some built-in RGB lighting. So we'll see what color looks best once the build is ready. For today's gameplay, I picked one game that is very GPU intensive and 2 games that a lot of people actually play. Cyberpunk 2077 4K medium settings, we're achieving around 70 FPS with the GPU temperature of 57 degrees Celsius and a CPU temperature of 45 degrees. Keep in mind, if you do want to play at max settings, then 1440p is the sweet spot for this GPU in Cyberpunk. PUBG 4K medium settings, we're achieving around 74 FPS on average with the GPU temperature of 56 degrees and a CPU temperature of 47 degrees. Again, 1440p would be the sweet spot for ultra settings, hitting that recommended 60 FPS. Grand Theft Auto 5 4K settings were achieving around 83 FPS with a GPU temperature of 57 degrees and a CPU temperature of 45 degrees. Grand Theft Auto was not as demanding on the system, but a lot of people love this game, so it's worth a show. And now for the final shots. Well guys, if you want to enter to win this PC, I've left a Gleam link down in the video description, so feel free to go check it out where you can find out more details about the giveaway and enter for your chance to win. Good luck.